Reverend Shannon gave a spectacular talk about how love is asking us to get creative in our responses to this life, and how creativity is actually growth. She taught us that those two words, creativity, the Latin root of it actually means to grow. So when we are in creation of any kind, we are in communion with the divine. So today, we're going to talk about being in communion with each other. We're talking about today the healing power of community. The great bell hooks taught us years ago that healing almost never happens alone. Healing happens when we are in relationship with others. That's where the work happens. She once said, love is an action, a participatory process that we must engage in every day. Love is an action, a participatory process. Participation is feeling kind of big for some of us right now, for better and for worse. I was speaking with someone this week about how excited we are about all of the things that we're doing. And this person shared with me that there's also a really large sense of overwhelm and helplessness in their life and in the world. And we spoke at length about how difficult it can be for some of us to respond with action when our go-to response to trauma in the past has been to hide, to withdraw, to pull the covers over our head. If you're me, to read a book. And so responding to big things in life with action isn't the go-to for some of us, and it can feel overwhelming. This person and I eventually kind of decided two things. Number one, we recognized that action really is the antidote to helplessness. It really is. We also realized together that spiritual community is more important than ever as we learn how to navigate these times together in the most healthy way possible. This is important. This is important. What we do together heals. So, right now, today, in spiritual communities all across the globe, we are celebrating life in unique and wonderful ways. As Reverend Shannon told us last week, we are in the midst of Ramadan and Lent. Our Jewish siblings just celebrated Purim last weekend, and the Hindus, I think yesterday, celebrated Holi. St. Patrick's Day is tomorrow, and the spring equinox is on Thursday. There is a lot in the field, and you know what this tells me? Spring is springing, and I love it. I love spring. Spring and fall are my absolute favorite. Why? Because for me, there is a sense of energy and change that is exciting. And so I feel spring. I see the daffodils. I see the crocuses. I see the little tiny buds on the cherry trees, right? And I feel really excited about that because spring is the time when we are shown, not promised and not told, but we are shown that light has triumphed. We're shown that. And sometimes that triumph of light over darkness, sometimes that's harder for me to feel than others. Some springs just feel more triumphant than others. And so do you know what I do when I can't find the light? When I can't find the light within me, when I'm having a hard time recognizing the good in me, the good in the world, the God in me, the God in the world, do you know what I do? I come here. I call one of our practitioners in Colorado. I lean into community to help me remember. Lean into community, or as our beloved Reverend Noel taught us, our common unity. Community, our common unity. A couple of weeks ago, I was out to dinner with girlfriends. And you know, this is the second time I've said that sentence. Y'all might think I go out to dinner with girlfriends a lot. Again, book, couch, Netflix. But I happened to be out to dinner with girlfriends a couple of weeks ago, and these are long time friends. And one of them was celebrating a birthday, and it was so good to celebrate with her. And at one point, I just was looking around the table, and I was thinking about everything going on in these lives. You know, recovery from big diagnoses, taking care of aging parents, still taking care of children, teens and adult children, and some of us are starting to take care of grandchildren as well. Like, I think this is called the sandwich generation for a reason. There are responsibilities on all sides, and we're like the cheese in the middle. I'm the cheese in the middle. Maybe that would be a good talk title, Kevin. What do you think? The cheese. I do love cheese. Who said that? Jen Moore. Okay. But as we were talking, as I was sitting around this table with beloved people that I don't get to see very often, a conversation spontaneously came up about how in these days, in these times, with everything that is happening in our lives and in the world, we are finding that we are grounding ourselves in microjoy. Microjoy. I might have a day-long experience at the hospital with Alex, but on the way home, he's going to crack a joke, and the whole car's going to laugh. And I'm going to ground myself in the joy of that, not in the medical trauma that went on before. Do you see? It's the power of these micro joys. And I hadn't even pinpointed that that's what I was doing until it came up around this table of wise women. And so I tell you this story, because I think micro joys is actually a really powerful spiritual practice for you right now. Feel free to join me in that. But I really tell you this story because I want to share with you that I literally don't know where I would be in life without my community, without this, without those wise women who I met in spiritual community at one time or another. Thank God for community. One of the best things that we can do for each other is to remind each other of our power, to remind each other of our truth. You know, even Jesus had 12 people that he asked to remember for him when he couldn't remember for himself. Even the master teacher has that, right? We all need people to lean on. I'm really excited because next week we have coming to be with us. Not only will Reverend Shannon be back, but we have a really special guest next week. Her name is Tama Keeves, and she is someone who in the past has helped me multiple times through her workshops and her writings to remember my power of who I really am in the world. So I want you to roll a clip. We have a video from Tama about our workshop next week. John, you want to go ahead and roll that?
Hello, New Thoughts Center for Spiritual Living. I can't wait to see you again. It's Tama Keeves, and I'm the author of a new book called Learning to Trust Yourself. You know how it is when you feel connected to spirit and you feel inspired and you know this is real and you know you can do anything, and then you doubt. And then a bill comes in, or then some crazy thought comes in, and you go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Most of us live this way. And I want to tell you, we are here now to become undiluted. It's time. It's time to stop waffling back and forth from what we know to be true. Our life purpose is to listen to an inner voice, but it's an inner voice of love, not an inner voice of fear. Because when we learn how to trust ourselves, when we trust ourselves, we trust our spirit, we trust our genius, we trust our knowing, everything becomes possible. And that's what I want to help you do. I want to help you learn how to trust yourself and this voice inside you that can do anything. I walked out of a career as an attorney. I'd gone to Harvard Law School. I walked out of everything to become a writer. I didn't know what I was doing. I had to learn how to trust myself. I had to learn how to trust the instincts in me, the plan, the love, this universe, everything. And it has worked. And it's a journey of continuing to trust yourself moment by moment by moment. That's what I want to teach you, because we are the ones who are here to make a difference in this world. When you have a different relationship with yourself, you will have a different relationship with the universe. You will be flooded with knowing, with insight, with love, with support. Let's do this. I cannot wait to meet you, to play with you, to guide us together, to create this together. I'm just so excited to meet you and to help you learn to trust yourself.
And here's what Tam is telling us. She is coming next weekend to remind us of the truth of who we are and what we're capable of. And to be completely honest with you, I think every single one of us needs that right now in the world. So she's going to be here during the Sunday service, and then we're doing a workshop afterwards. I want to invite all of us to be present for that. Empowerment is one of the things that this community does best. It's one of the things we do best. Before I lived here, before I moved here, I lived in Houston, Texas. I'm a Texan, born and bred, for better or for worse. And one of the things I loved about Texas was the friendliness of the people. Literally, everywhere you go, someone is holding the door open for you and asking you if you need help. Deeply, deeply friendly people. And also, I loved the multiculturalism in Texas. Houston is a diverse, vast city. It's the fourth largest city in our country. And it's so diverse. And the food is just phenomenal. One of the things that I also loved about Houston was the weather. We would have real thunderstorms. Please raise your hand if you know what a real thunderstorm is. Okay, some of y'all are from the Midwest, I see. And some of y'all know, where are you from, Jen? Georgia, of course. So y'all know what a real thunderstorm is. I love when that thunder rolls in, right? One of the things I don't love about the weather is hurricanes. Occasionally, Houston gets hurricanes, and I lived there through a couple of them. And I learned over time that a hurricane would blow in, there would be destruction, but there were ancient trees that would be completely fine. And I always wondered about that. I wondered how these trees became so resilient. So I actually did some research about trees in hurricanes. And I learned this. There are two factors that help a tree to be resilient in a hurricane. The first one is some trees will just drop their leaves. They'll just drop them. That way there's less wind drag on the branches, and that makes the branches more resilient. You know what that teaches me? To ask myself what I need to let go of so that I can be more resilient. The other thing that these trees do is when they grow in groups. And studies have shown that groups of 5 or more are what's required for this resiliency, okay? their roots actually intertwine. And when the hurricane comes, they hold each other up. They literally hold each other up. And isn't that a metaphor for our times? When the hurricanes of life, when those winds are blowing, who is holding you up? Some of us find that here. Some of us have that in our families of origin. Some of us do not. My invitation to you today, my really strong invitation for us today, is to make sure we know who our five are, who we can lean into when those winds blow. And if you are looking for your five and you think they might be here, do something about it. Start up a conversation, join a class, join one of the Mind to Do groups, right? But in order to have a different experience of life, you have to be willing to do something differently. If you want a robust community around you, make it, do it. We've got you. We've got you. And it's safe here. This is how we community. We root deeply with each other, and we're doing some really exciting things right now to do that rooting so that we can all be more resilient, right? We have some of us are meeting tonight to go to the town hall again at Clackamas Community College. There's our other senator, Jeff Merkley, and the representative for this congressional district that our center is in are going to be doing a town hall tonight. Some of us are going to meet together and do that. We write postcards to Ukraine, and Doug is going to tell us a little bit more about that later. But we take just a minute to send a healing balm to let people in the world know that they too are not alone, that our hearts are with them and our votes are with them. We have our Mind to Do groups. We have the DEIA group, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility group, Getting to Work. We have our LGBTQ plus group, Getting to Work. We're going to have a table at Pride this year, y'all. I am so excited. Our Caring Corner food pantry is Getting to Work. They've already reached out to multiple organizations. They're doing such great work in the world. I'm so proud of you. Our immigration support group is already getting to work. And now I'm so excited. Our climate team is re-energized. We're restarting our climate action team. So if the climate is your gig, and this is global, y'all, these meetings are hybrid. In fact, they're online almost all the time. So this is a global group that all of us can be involved in. This is how we, community, we work together for the good of others. And that action is the antidote to helplessness. This is how we become more resilient together. This is it. This is it. This is how we heal. Did you know that? You are a healer. Your presence online, your communications in the chat box, your joining in classes and retreats and these groups. This is how we heal. This is it, y'all. There is no magic wand that's going to wave and bing, I'm healed. Now I can help the world. No. That's not how it works. We do the work together, and in those relationships, we discover our enoughness. We discover our power. We discover our truth and how to express it. This is the healing work. There are, of course, other healing modalities as well, and we honor all of them. Our practitioners will help you heal. Therapists will help you heal. Your doctors will help you heal. And here in spiritual community, together, this is how we heal. And you are a healer. You are a healer. By now, we've all heard the brilliant Valerie Kaur quote. She's truly brilliant. She said, we can look upon the face of anyone or anything around us and say, as a moral declaration and a spiritual, cosmological, and biological fact, you are a part of me I do not yet know. I want to break that down a little bit because there is so much brilliance in that sentence. It's a moral declaration because I am you and you are me. We take care of each other, and that is our value. That is our morality in the world. It's a spiritual fact because we understand that there is one life, and this life is the divine life, and this life is my life, and this life is your life and all of life. And because we understand that inherent oneness, we take care of each other. It's a cosmological fact because that divine life that we're talking about, whose nature is unconditional love and whose activity is creation itself, this is what we are made of. Our inherent nature is love. So we care for each other. It's a biological fact because most scientists now agree that all humans share one direct maternal ancestor known as mitochondrial Eve and a common paternal ancestor, although we don't call him Adam. I don't know, Steve. Even Steve. And because of this, it is suggesting a unified evolutionary history. And so we understand that we are indeed one human family, so we take care of each other. We take care of each other. Now, understanding that, listen to that Valerie Kaur quote again. We can look upon the face of anyone or anything around us and say, as a moral declaration and a spiritual, cosmological, and biological fact, you are a part of me that I do not yet know. You are a part of me that I do not yet know. Therefore, we care for each other. And this is the healing power of community. This is how we celebrate our common unity here at New Thought Center for Spiritual Living. We care for ourselves and we care for each other. We celebrate our oneness even as we acknowledge and celebrate our differences. We actively work to help make the world a better place for each other because we know that we are the place where love shows up in the world. We, us, individually, we are the place where love shows up in the world, and we, this collective, beautiful we, are the place where love shows up in the world. And one of the things that I'm starting to realize is that it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to feel quite so overwhelming. And I had a beautiful example of this with my husband and his beautiful gardener's soul. So for those of us who live here in Oregon, we have maybe come to take for granted the fact that there is literally a neighborhood park everywhere you look. It's not like that in Houston. Here in Portland, there are neighborhood parks everywhere. And in our neighborhood, there's one just 4 or 5 houses down the street from us. And it's a nice, big, beautiful, natural area with a path all the way around it. Alex likes to take his wheelchair and just scoot around the park with a stick because he's a 10-year-old boy. We have a stick and a wheelchair. It's how we roll. Get it? It's how we roll. And this pathway is it is the morning constitutional spot for every dog and human in the neighborhood. And because we live on a corner, that you have to basically walk by our house unless you live in one of those 5 houses between us and the park. So we see everyone and their dog walking and rolling along to the park all day, every day. My golden retriever loves it, as you can imagine. She does it. She yells at everybody, y'all, and we really need to work on her attitude. But Michael took our dogs to the park, as he does every day, and he noticed that one of the pathways was not draining properly in all of the rain that we've been having, and so it was eroding, and it was becoming impassable. So without saying a word to anybody, without worrying about whether he needed to call the HOA or the Parks Department, I'm sitting in my chair in the front room reading, and I look up and I see him with his gardening hat on. We've talked about this hat before and my feelings about it. And he has this wheelbarrow that is full of dirt and rakes and things, and he is just walking by. And I'm like, oh, that's my husband walking by. What on earth is he doing? He comes home 3 hours later, covered in dirt. I said, where on earth have you been? And he said, I was fixing the path at the park. And I said, you what? I said, did you call the HOA first and make sure that's okay? Like, are we allowed to touch public property? Like, is that a thing? He goes, it needed to be fixed, so I fixed it. And then y'all go ahead and clap for my man. But here's the thing. 3 days later, he noticed that it still wasn't quite draining right. So he took like a drain tool and he went back and he worked on it some more. And while he was there, person after person after person walked by and said, did you do this? Thank you. Thank you. Now, it was getting to where it wasn't safe for me to walk anymore. It was getting to where it wasn't safe for Alex to roll there anymore. He saw a need and he filled it. And he made it easy. He didn't let his overactive imagination talk about all the reasons why we shouldn't do it. He just did it. He just did it. So our taking our healed selves into the world, this thing that we talk about a lot around here, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be hard. See a need and do the next right thing. Just do the next right thing. So, to close, I have a little practice for you to consider this week. I've been doing it the last few days, and I think you're going to enjoy this. Before you get out of bed, some of you may need a phone reminder for this on your alarm. Before you get out of bed, just take 30 seconds. And first, I'm going to ask you to take a breath. Because what that does is our breath locates us in our body. It grounds us in our body. So first, take a breath. And then think of one thing that you're grateful for. Just one thing. This morning, I took a breath and I thought, I am so grateful that today is Spiritual Community Day. And then, and only then, because what that does, gratitude locates us in our heart. So now we're located in our body and we're located in our heart. And then just put a pulse out into the universe. Love, how can I serve today? And then just go about your day and watch love show up as a yes for that prayer, for that intention. And just be willing to make it easy to show up as love today with a breath, a grateful heart, and a sincere connection to the love that you are. Are you with me?